Hey, it's Mikey Bizan, and this is a question from Philip. Does being a musician improve your ability to animate? Well, the most important thing to improve your animation is to animate a lot. Music and animation have a lot in common though, thinking about timing, rhythm, and even spatial composition. How visuals are spaced on the screen is similar to how the sounds in a song relate to each other. The colors in animation and tones in music notes have similar emotional messages as well. For instance, cold colors like blue evoke distance or sadness, and minor notes in music can also evoke sadness. Animation software and music recording software certainly have a lot in common as well, such as working with layers on the timeline and moving sounds or images around to get different effects. Creating visual depth in animation with multiple layers is like creating sonic depth in music by panning the audio tracks across the left and right speakers. As far as emotional content, visual art and music often hit similar emotional centers in the mind, and when you combine sound with visuals, you can make an even stronger impact that neither could accomplish on their own. Music and visuals are very immediate. Reading a book requires many skills, such as understanding how to translate abstract symbols into meaningful language, but music bypasses intellect and can be felt at an instinctual level. Even a 2-year-old will dance to a song. To what extent do you think the principles behind art overlap? For example, do you experience musical rhythm the same as rhythm in pictorial art or animation? Musical rhythm happens in real time. Picking up a guitar and strumming a chord has an instant result. With animation, planning the rhythm of a scene occurs in ultra slow time. In music, the rhythm is felt and experienced in the present moment. But when it comes to creating animation, planning the rhythm is a gradual process that takes hours and hours to prepare just a few seconds of animation. Animation can be spontaneous to an extent, as far as coming up with ideas or roughing out a shot, though creating rhythm in animation requires a lot of precision and reworking images to flow in sync with the rhythm of the soundtrack. Animation is the illusion of movement. Music also exists as movement in the sense that the notes and beats come and go. Nothing is permanent. In a painting, the image is observed as still and unmoving for all time. In animation and music, nothing is still. Even though animation is visual, it almost has more in common with music than other forms of visual art because both animation and music are experienced as a constant state of motion. They flow in progression from start to finish. Like a book, except the experience of time is constricted to the medium itself. A 200-page book might take 200 hours to read for a slow reader, or it could be read in a single afternoon by a bookworm. The amount of time it takes a reader to experience a book is determined by the reading skills of each individual. No two people read the same book in exactly the same amount of time. But with an animated film, a 97-minute movie is always a 97-minute movie, regardless of who's watching it. A 3-minute song is always a 3-minute song, whether it's listened to by an infant or a seasoned music critic. Both music and animation as mediums give their audience a predetermined time slot to experience the art form. Another form of overlap is the creative process itself. While music is more instant, both art forms take on a similar production process. Coming up with ideas, practicing the music or roughing out the animation, polishing the work as a recording or cleaning up the line work, and mastering the music or compositing the final animation. The creative process for all art forms share similar processes and stages. You have moments of insight and bursts of ideas, followed by needing periods of rest or some time to do other activities to recharge and put new ideas in your mind. There's a time to rough out ideas freely and a time to come back with the editor part of your mind turned on in order to tighten up your work. For more information on the creative process, you can watch my video on the 4 stages of creativity from the info card or in the description box. Alright, so another question is, what, if any, is the unique appeal of animation as a medium? The ability to turn a series of static images into living things. That's what's appealing to me. With animation, you can project your dreams onto a screen for others to see. Trying to explain a crazy dream with words is often boring to the person listening because they can't process what you saw or what you felt in your dream, no matter how hard you try to explain it. But with animation, you can bypass words and create animated dreams for others to experience at a visceral level. With animation, you can make anything and exaggerate the laws of physics. That's what I like about animation. You can make absolutely anything. How important is form, such as timing, design, color, etc., when creating an appealing animation? To what extent does the content of the animation and the context in which it is consumed affect its appeal? Appeal is possibly the most important aspect of animation. You can have super fluid and well animated characters. You can follow all the principles of animation, but if the characters have no appeal or nothing interesting about them, people will get bored. Creating characters that people care about is super hard, but super important. You can have very limited animation that works well because it has compelling characters that keep the audience's attention. There's different types of animation. In a sense, all animation is the art of movement, but character animation is almost its own discipline. It's one thing to animate a character that moves, but it's a wholly different skill set to animate characters that appear to think and act. These are characters that transcend being drawings or CG models. Personally, I don't have much experience with character animation, as my focus as a music video creator has been mostly on placing the emphasis more on the mood and atmosphere rather than a fully fledged story with fully fledged characters and character arcs. Although recent videos I've attempted more narrative elements, even if the stories are surreal. Another question is, to what degree do you try to emulate life in your animation? How do you decide when to abstract from life? I don't consciously try to emulate life, but being a living creature who only exists in life, of course, everything I'm inspired by is from life. I mostly think about what the mood of a shot is and how to best show that. Special effects animation works best when one observes how physics work in real life, and then you push those physics further through animation. So, to an extent, all animation really works best when you push it a little bit further than it could actually be shown in real life. That's why straight up rotoscoping can often look lifeless, even though you're basically trying to copy life directly. There's this uncanny valley. There's information that's lost, and that's why exaggerating or caricaturing life, it adds your own humanity to the process, and it's a lot more appealing that way. Okay, another question. Do you think the aesthetic pleasure of experiences are purely a neurological phenomenon, or do you think there might be some kind of transcendent component to art that can't be measured? Experiences are perceived in the brain. The transcendent components of art, if there are any, are still confined within the biology of the brain. As far as what makes something pleasing, it is very much informed by our primate brains. We can't perceive what we can't perceive. We can't feel what we aren't capable of feeling. Our experiences of the world is confined to our human senses, but reality is a lot more complex than what we can consciously comprehend at any moment. So in a sense, our brains are really just simulators of reality. Our senses give our brains information to work with, and the first priority of that information is to keep us alive, to make sure we don't do stuff like walk off cliffs. But we don't even fully understand how consciousness works yet, so it seems art is transcendent in the sense that it can't be perfectly measured or explained. But I wouldn't say our limited understanding is proof that art transcends the neurological processes in the brain in a metaphysical way. There's this idea that if we can explain how something works, it will take the magic out of it. But I don't think this is true. The more we can understand something, the more we can appreciate it. But at any rate, with every question we do answer, we seem to find 10 new problems to solve. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll answer them in the next episode of Draw and Chat. I'm working on some animation related courses, so you can sign up to my animation email list if you're interested. And the first course I'm planning on releasing is going to be all about storyboarding. The links for that stuff is in the description box below. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, and you can like the video if you liked it. Apparently that helps show YouTube that this is relevant, but you don't have to. Just putting it out there. And this is Mikey Buzan signing off, and I hope you make something creative today.